International break is over. We're going to be looking ahead to Arsenal's clash with Nottingham Forest. We're also going to talk Southampton, who play Portsmouth on Sunday. Proper naughty. And we've got loads of stories from around the world too. It's football, fast, no faff. Let's go Route 1. So, some news that landed just as we're about to hit the big green go button. Chelsea have been charged with 74 alleged rule breaches relating to agent payments between 2009 and 2022. Now, the club in that period was owned by Roman Abramovich, so the current owners have released a statement today, and they have said, during a thorough due diligence process prior to completion of the purchase, the ownership group became aware of potentially incomplete financial reporting concerning historical transactions and other potential breaches of FA rules. Immediately upon completion of the purchase, the club self-reported these matters to all relevant regulators, including the FA. Now, that story has only just broken, so we'll take another look at it on tomorrow's show when hopefully we know a little bit more. In the meantime, the Premier League's back. Almost, but let's just pretend it is, because the first game of the weekend is a pretty big one. It's Ange Postecoglou's first game in charge of Nottingham Forest, and he's away to Arsenal. Now, we discussed Forest a couple of days ago, so we're going to turn our attention to the Gunners. They've started reasonably well. Like, they weren't convincing against Manchester United, but they did beat them. They blew Leeds United away, and they were only beaten at Anfield by goal of the season contender. But their medical room looks like a London bus stop in a tube strike. It is packed. Saka's out, Saliba's out, Havertz is out, Jesus is out, Wright and Norgard are both doubts. And you know what it's like over there these days. 3 second-place finishes have raised expectations to fever pitch, and any slip-ups are seized upon by the naysayers as evidence of Mikel Arteta's shortcomings. It seems pretty harsh to me, but, there you go. Adrian Clarke is a former Arsenal player. He's a pundit on Arsenal TV. He has his own YouTube channel for Arsenal analysis. So basically, I can't think of a better person to ask. Is this one a banana skin for Arsenal?
Every game is a potential banana skin, Macca. A new manager bounceism is definitely a thing, so I won't be taking anything for granted. Look, tactically, it will be fascinating to see how Ange plays it this weekend. Will he do what he's been hired to do, and that's press high, keep possession and play risky attacking football, or will he do what he did at the end of last season by abandoning his principles almost completely to set up mega defensive? That's a bad look, I think, in front of a new boss, Marinakis. So we're likely to see something in between. If I'm in Mikel Arteta's shoes, I'm instructing the players to unleash attacking carnage. Firstly, because Arsenal have created one big chance this season, yeah, that's right, and ranked second lowest for expected goals in open play. Another reason to go for it, with dynamic runs, varied movement, serious attacking intensity, is that Forest players will have brand new messages, ideas and thoughts on positioning inside their heads. Ange is nothing like Nuno, so the instructions will clearly be different. Mistakes, I think, then could be made if there's any uncertainty, and the Gunners must not let Forest off the hook. I expect a home win, and with Madueke, Ødegaard and Eze behind Gyökeres, there's no real excuse at all not to let rip with some really exciting, positive football. But as Forest will be so eager to impress their new gaffer, I don't think it's going to be easy.
Right then, let's turn our attention to this weekend's big derby game. 2 teams united only in their loathing for each other, an atmosphere so virulent you suspect the local constabulary were gutted to find the fixture back in the diary for the first time in 13 years. It is, of course, Southampton versus Portsmouth. Now look, I'm a big fan of Harry Redknapp. I thought he was a great manager, great character. But when he claimed in his autobiography that he hadn't realised the intensity of this rivalry, remember when he defected from Pompey to the Saints in 2005? I don't buy it. Not a bit of it. This is a game that drips with hatred, and I can't wait. But one interesting setup we find here, Portsmouth, who didn't win a game last season until mid-October, have won 2 already, and they sit 8th. Southampton, by far the richer club, haven't won in the league since that opening day victory against Wrexham. George Rees-Julian is the Southampton correspondent for the Daily Echo. George, how's new manager Will Still getting on down there? And what will the reaction be if they lose on Sunday?
Simply put, if Saints fail to beat Portsmouth on Sunday, fans won't be having that at all. as you pointed out there, that Saints haven't won for a little while now. They should have beaten Watford. They should have beaten Stoke, but Portsmouth is a team they simply have to beat. I think Will Still's had a difficult start in the sense of he's had to deal with players coming in and out. He hasn't necessarily known who his squad of players is going to be from one week to the next. He's now had the end of the transfer window. He's had a lot of players come in right at the end, players who will be able to unlock a new system for him. He came in, wanted to play a 4 at the back, has had to play with a 5 because he's found that simply the group of players he had. He had to use that system. And I wonder if he'll roll the dice on changing things going into a game against Portsmouth where the tensions are much higher. I don't think he will. I think that's probably a risk you can't take in a game of such magnitude, but they have now got more quality players through the door to bring Tom Fellows and Finn Azaz, players that are established in the Championship. They put great numbers in the Championship. This is what Southampton need, and derby games very often form doesn't come into them, but Southampton do have a better squad. That is undeniable. It's just a case of can they produce it on the day. They have struggled to put the ball in the back of the net. They create chances, they just haven't put them in the back of the net. If they can do that against Portsmouth, if they can get the win, it's the jab in the arm for their season, the jab in the arm that they need.
Real Madrid's Franco Mastantuono stepped into Lionel Messi's number 10 shirt to break Diego Maradona's record this week and become the youngest player to wear that shirt for Argentina. Mastantuono was already Argentina's youngest ever player as of June, but he just missed the window to become their youngest ever scorer. Still, you suspect that inheriting the arguably most iconic football shirt of all time will probably make up for that. Nestor Irankunda has certainly caught the eye since Watford snapped him up from Bayern Munich. 2 stunning free kicks against Swansea and Southampton before the break. Well, in this break, he stamped his authority on Australia's national team, particularly with his goal against New Zealand, and then with a free kick that hit the bar that we're nominating as a candidate for the best ever free kick that didn't go in. Keep an eye on this one. He's a bit special. By the time England face Wales in October, Jordan Pickford will have gone 364 days without conceding an international goal. Chris, over there in the writers' room, would like me to point out that England have actually conceded in every game Pickford hasn't played during that run. 1 more clean sheet, and Pickford will set a new national record of 8 clean sheets in a row, a threshold that surely, when crossed, will see him finally accepted by everybody as England's It's never going to happen, is it? I don't know why. I think he's great. Some reason people just don't take to him. Isaac Price took his Northern Ireland tally to a very impressive 10 goals in 24 appearances this week with a stunning volley away to Germany. Price has upped his record of 2 club goals in 5 years to 3 in 4 games since signing for West Brom. The Baggies are unbeaten. They're second in the Championship, and Price is another one worth keeping an eye on. And finally, we thought it was worth noting that Brazil, who qualified for the World Cup this week, only avoided the playoffs as a result of FIFA bloating next year's tournament up to 48 teams, thus increasing CONMEBOL's automatic spots from 4 to 6. So having finished 5th, Brazil's worst ever performance in this format, Carlo Ancelotti should really be sending a thank you card to Gianni Infantino. And again, boy, has he got some work to do before the tournament starts. A couple of free agent deals went through yesterday. Let's bring you up to speed. After 7 years at West Ham, Lucas Fabianski departed in the summer. He's found himself a new club. It's West Ham. Fabianski, we presume, just refused to move house, and Graham Potter was impressed by his tenacity. Elsewhere, Christian Eriksen has cool time on his second Premier League stint. Of course, he left Manchester United in the summer. He's just signed for Wolfsburg. Question now is, will he be one of those players who suddenly improves as soon as they get away from Old Trafford? Another ex-Manchester United star who might be on the move is Anthony Martial. Do you remember he plays for AEK Athens? That passed me by completely. But he may not be there for much longer. Baffling transfer mavericks Pumas, UNAM, of Mexico are reportedly interested in adding him to their summer recruitment, which thus far includes Keylor Navas and Aaron Ramsey. Yesterday, we brought you news of an 80-year-old manager. We can go better than that today. Try this. How about an 82-year-old goalkeeper? Lamberto Baranga. What a name that is, by the way. He made his professional debut for Perugia in 1961. He's come out of retirement to play for 7th tier Trevana. Baranga said, "I do it to emphasise that one thing's biological age, another is what's on paper. There are days when I feel 50 years old." And in case you thought that was just bluster, Baranga will be participating, as he always does, in October's European Masters Athletics Championships in Madeira, in which he'll be doing the long jump, the triple jump, and the pole vault. Might just have found ourselves a new spiritual king. That was Route 1. It was football fast, no faff. If you enjoyed it, please do remember, give it a like, give it a subscribe, tell someone about it. We'll be here every weekday at around about the same time, 5 p.m. in the UK. I've been Iain Macintosh. Your audio producer was Helena Fremantle. Your video editor was Deane Thrussell. Sean Nicholas is our video producer. Chris Smith was in the writer's room. Lola Katz-Roberts and Sophie Manners were on website and social. And our work experience boy, Joseph Tate, built this. Isn't that awesome? We'll be back tomorrow.